I just have this memory of him being like, "Oh my God, 50." And it seems like it was yesterday, and I was like a grown man when that happened, when he turned 50, and now I'm knocking on that door, and it's very surreal to be like almost half a century old when you still feel like I definitely don't feel like any smarter than I was 2 decades ago. You just kind of feel the same.
Hmm.
So I don't, it's fun. I like middle age. It's chill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 23 and I just feel like time is really going by so fast.
23, you're a baby. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna be fine, but I mean, you got a long ways to go.
Yeah, yeah, there is definitely some learning that I need to do. But I want to talk about
Likewise.
your album Sing Things uh so these songs they started off as demos through Patreon. So how did you manage to turn those demos from Patreon into like a full-blown album?
Um, it's something I've been doing for a couple records now, where I just sort of cherry pick songs from those that I've uploaded onto Patreon, and sort of curate an album, and then uh, re-record them in a kind of quote unquote proper studio. The songs that I post onto Patreon, I record at home in my backyard. I've got a little studio back there, and my skill set and my tool set, they're all right, and I make them sound as best I can. But there's something to be said for taking them out of that environment and re-recording them with someone who with a little more experience and a few more tools, and someone that can help me produce, adding collaborators, um, tweaking the lyrics, tweaking the structures, getting better at playing them, all that stuff, putting the songs into like one cohesive album. It's um it's fun to watch it evolve and to hear the songs transform. But yeah, I just sort of pick my favorites. At least that's what it was for this record.
Hmm.
I wanted to make a record that was based heavily on piano and voice. It's because I'm getting back into piano and voice right now. It's something I seem to do about once a decade, is lean really heavily into like acoustic piano and voice. And I'm going through one of those phases right now. So I knew when I took this record on tour, I wanted to be sitting at a piano. So I need to be able to. The songs that I picked are all like piano based, basically. That's the red thread that goes through the album, is that instrumentation. So that was part of why I chose the songs that I did. And then I tried to have songs that thematically kind of complemented one another, nodded to one another. There's a lot of songs kind of about songwriting on this record, or what it means to live and work in music. A lot of the lyrics get a little bit meta in that way when I'm writing about my own life and my own songs. Some of the songs are just actually mention a different song on the record within the lyrics, so that the fourth wall gets broken in that way a few times. So that kind of group of songs that are all about that, I wanted that theme to be present on the record. So I pulled all of those onto it. There's like a little group of songs that kind of all nod to each other. And then there's a few others that are just about being 49 and being like just my life, my family, my life partner, my son, living in this insane world right now, and what it means to just like try to have a quote unquote normal life.
Right, right. And like you said, So the description of this album, I mean, this record touches on things like fatherhood, aging, friendships, political stature. So, um, did you approach songwriting more personally this time around, like compared to your other records?
Maybe my songwriting in general is getting a little bit more inwardly focused, a little more introspective, a little more self-concerned. Um, and because these songs were kind of written over the course of 2024, 2025. They weren't all written at once. Um, but yeah, I think you could safely say that my songwriting is leaning more that way of just getting more personal, because I'm kind of always writing songs to post onto my Patreon page, and that's where these songs come from. They're turning into almost like monthly journal entries, um, just kind of a snapshot of where I am that month. And I use music and songwriting as a kind of therapy for myself to get shit off my chest, basically, and talk about sort of whatever is on my mind that month, and then write music to go along with those thoughts. And the whole exercise of like learning a song and getting it into my hands so that my body can play it and I can sing it without really thinking about it. It's all really therapeutic and cathartic. But by the same token, it's all very self-concerned. Um, I have in the past tried to sing about, you know, bigger things, world events, geopolitics, um, humanity as a whole, and I found that I am out of my depth, that those things don't, for me at least, make good songs. They make forced songs. I'm just kind of a poser in that realm. It's not anything. I, yeah, like I said, I'm just out of my depth. I'm more comfortable, for better for worse, just writing about my own quiet little thoughts about myself and the world and my place in it. And that's what I do. And now that I'm 49, I'm just sort of accepted that that's who I am as an artist, as a songwriter, as someone who writes about the more quiet side of life, and the more introspective side and the more spiritual side. Um, and that's just who I am. And I just try to do what I do and do it well and make that my contribution to music. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, I was observing what you were saying, and I was about to, and yeah, this album really do reflect all you describe, and comparing this album to your past work, I mean, did making this album like feel different from your past albums?
I think every album feels different. It's really a case by case. It's always a new set of parameters, a new group of people. Um, so yeah, it feels a lot different. Like, I don't know, what is the last solo record I put out? It was I Just Drew This Knife, right?
Yeah.
And that was like very much a rock project with my friends Jordan and Eli, and it was collaboratively written. I didn't play any piano. I played bass for the most part when we took it on tour. It was all about lyrics and singing for me. That was like my contribution to that record for the most part. So this apples and oranges. This one is completely different, where it's quiet piano songs that were crafted slowly and deliberately, and then pulled back out of Patreon and deconstructed, put back together, very deliberately tweaked and added. I had the additions of different collaborators, brought in on almost every song to add like a new element. And I wanted piano and voice to run through the whole record, but I also wanted to add something new to the songs and not just record them exactly as they already existed online. So, it just to keep it fun and interesting is to reimagine them. So I brought in my friend M Elbow Kiss, and they are singing on like tons of songs, almost half the record, and their voice is incredible and adds this whole other depth of meaning and tone to like anything their voice touches. It's incredible. Um, there's a string player and arranger named Maria Grigorieva. She's in Moscow, and we worked remotely. She ended up contributing strings to 4 of the songs. One of those songs became like a bonus track, so it's not on the album proper. But
Hmm.
yeah, her. I'd never worked with a string player before, and it couldn't have worked out better, in my opinion. She's so talented, and for the most part, arranged and wrote all her own melodies and harmonies and performed them. And just sent us back this basically finished work that we did a couple edits to. And the way in which her ideas transformed the songs was really something to behold. I didn't expect her string playing to have such a pronounced effect on the songs, but she really changed the mood of them, um, in every case for the better, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And then my old friend Jordan plays guitar on a few songs. He's the guy who engineered the record, um, and produced it too, I would say. He wears a producer hat when we work together, and he wears that hat really well. Never harsh or overbearing, but he's good at walking into the room and telling me when I'm going down a rabbit hole, overthinking something, or I've already played the song as good as I'm going to play it like 3 takes ago, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have someone like that that you trust to work with. And he's also just a really sweet guitar player. And he's got these amazing melodic ideas that I would never come up with. And all I have to do is say, "Do you want to play guitar on this song?" And a day later, he will have come up with a part. I just let him do his thing. And he's an engineer. He self-records. Like I can, that's real easy for me to have Jordan playing a song. Um, and again, he changes it so much and for the better. So those collaborators are kind of peppered all over the album. Every song has sort of like at least one other thing, one other person, or one other instrument besides just the piano and voice, just to add some flair, basically.
Yeah, and this album, like with the with your collaborators, I mean it was very versatile, and that really did exceed well with this album.
Thank you.
And and the singles that you dropped was Time Bomb, Berserk Mode, which is which is a favorite of mine. So those were like the two first singles. Is there like any more singles that you plan on releasing?
Yeah, well, the focus track that is accompanying the release of the album is called Hasn't It Always? And that is more or less the third single. There's a little lyric video that we've made to go with it. Um, it's one of the ones that Maria played on, the string player I was just talking about.
Yeah.
For that one, the Patreon version was me on piano and voice, and then I added some bass guitar and some synths on top. I think there was some digital drums too. Um, and what I did was sent that song and the stems of bass and synth to Maria, and I asked her to replace the bass with cello and to replace the synthesizer with strings. And she did that in like a day, um, and totally added her own arrangements, ideas, and flair and style to the playing, like, and made like well beyond what I would have written if I had written down the parts for strings myself, and completely transformed the song into kind of like a little chamber pop number in a way that I just thought was so cool. And then we added some percussion on top of that in the studio, and it's just a banging little number, in my opinion. And so that's going to be the third single, or is the third single, and I hope people like it.
Hmm. I mean, I like it. I mean, I saw like a interview of you saying that some TV shows in Canada will be uh, using songs which come. I mean, will be using your songs which will come out like later this year. Are there like any songs from this album that will be featured on the TV show?
No, not that I know of, not yet.
Okay.
Maybe, but nothing has come up as of yet in that arena.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of more like the bands that you're in. Like that's when I mean will they be using like your song I mean your band songs like for their projects? I mean, am I
What
making sense?
do you mean? Like, will television shows be using Wolf Parade?
Yeah,
Kind of.
like and because I saw like an interview which I mean where you mentioned that some TV shows in Canada will be using your songs and uh I hope that made sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Maybe I misspoke, or I can't think exactly what I would have been talking about at the time. Maybe I was talking about heated rivalry, or maybe heated rivalry had already happened. I don't know. There's nothing specific that comes to mind for upcoming Canadian licenses in television shows, whether it's Wolf Parade or my solo stuff. So, but there probably will be something, but I don't know what I might have been referencing in that interview. So
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, I kind of apologize for
Don't worry.
yeah.
No stress.
Because I mean, I saw the interview and I kind of want to mention that like if there's like any songs from this album that would be featured like on a TV show. I hope I kind of made sense like when I try to ask that question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. No, but just not as of yet. No, there isn't.
Okay.
Let's hope there is.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
absolutely. And speaking of like TV shows in Canada, and I know everybody keep on asking you about Heated Rivalry, but like are you I mean do you really enjoy like the momentum or like the momentum that you're getting like you know new audiences from all these countries uh, I mean they heard your song and they're like digging deeper into like Wolf Parade's catalog.
Yeah, I mean, we're enjoying some new opportunities that I don't think would have happened without Heated Rivalry. Um, the viral moment has kind of passed. That wave is kind of crested already. We definitely at no point expected for Wolf Parade to have a viral hit, so that was really fun to watch unfold and really unexpected and really fortunate. Obviously, we feel really lucky that it happened, and really we have a lot of gratitude towards Jacob Tierney and his team that made Heated Rivalry because they made such a great show and used our song in such a thoughtful and considered and impactful way. It's all the show's doing, you know. We just lucked out. We just said yes to the license and basically hit the jackpot and happened to be affiliated with this really well done TV show that is really resonating with people. The way that Jacob incorporated the song into a few different episodes, and then the way the whole song's like the needle drop moment of this really pivotal scene in an episode that's named after the song. It was all like a huge surprise to us. We didn't realize that the song would be like that forefront in the narrative in the show. So of course we were like pleasantly surprised, and the way they did all of that was just so effective that it made it turned the song it made the song even more powerful than it is, kind of thing. It was just used so well in the scene, in such a powerful scene, that in turn then a bunch of people just started digging into the song and figuring out who we were and what the song's about, and we had that viral moment, and it's really fun. And like I said, it's given us some opportunities, I think, that wouldn't have happened otherwise, but for the most part we kind of just watched it happen. um, there's a bit of emotional distance from the song itself because we wrote it 20 years ago, you know. So in some ways, it was like watching it happen to a different band, like an older band. Though, of course, that's kind of abstract. Of course, on paper, we know it's our song, and we're still that band, and we still perform that song. But mostly, we just know that we're really lucky, and we're really grateful it happened. There's been a nice boost online and on streaming platforms and stuff. Our numbers have gone up, and they wouldn't have otherwise. So that's all really cool. But we are still maintaining the course that we had before the show happened. Like we're sticking with the plan of like just being the band that we wanted to be before Heated Rivalry was a thing. Um, and playing the shows that we want to play, and picking and choosing when and where we tour and not touring too much. And we're talking about putting out some new music and shooting some demos back and forth. And we haven't really talked about new music since before COVID. So that's exciting. But I do think
Glad to
that
hear that.
conversation was going to happen anyway. You know, we're not trying to like capitalize or manipulate this moment too much, because I think that's maybe a bit of a fool's game. It's maybe smarter to just let it play out naturally.
Hmm. And yeah, yeah, and I'm glad to hear that because most people will like take their momentum for a second and then try to like capitalize it. And I'm glad that uh like as a band like you're completely the opposite, and you're just doing, I mean, you're just letting things flow, and the plans that you have before Heated Rivalry, you're proceeding with that. So I'm glad to hear that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of I'll do anything, you recently made a piano version of it, and I think I mean if I'm not mistaken, you considered like pi the piano version as your best version. So why is that?
I think you are mistaken. I don't consider the piano version the best version.
Um,
Um, it was in response to the sudden interest in the song. It was kind of a domino effect where this show was taking off, and like my partner, she was like, "You got to watch the show that you guys are in." I was like, "Do I?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's like a big deal." And so I watched it, and I I was pleased. Um, and then I realized that the song was really picking up with a lot of people, and at the same time, I had a solo piano show coming up in Vancouver, just a one-off thing at a festival. And my partner, she was like, "You got to do a version of the song. You got to kind of reclaim it." Um, And I was like, "No, I don't." And she's like, "Yeah, you do. Like, put a new arrangement together." And she's usually right. So I did. And then I performed the song. That was like in January, I think. And that got filmed by someone, and that had its own little viral moment online. And so then it made sense to like, okay, if this song is resonating with people, people were like, release this. So Sub Pop were like, okay, let's make a little 7 inch of this piano version that you've done. So I did, and we it's coming out I think May 22nd. It's already online, but there's a little 7 inch that has my piano version on one side and the original Wolf Parade version on the other side. But all of that said, I don't think the piano version is the best version. It's maybe an apples and oranges thing, but the original Wolf Parade version is like there's an epicness there that like kind of can't be matched that I could never pull off alone. You know, there's just that energy that Wolf Parade has when the three of us, or four of us, get together. It's sort of a magical thing. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just this sound that comes out when we start playing music together, and that sound is like very much in that song, and that kind of bombastic quality, and that epic kind of hope-filled uh, pinnacle of the song. Yeah, man. I mean, like, I'm not gonna redo that on piano. The piano is its own quality, a completely different vibe. And I think the piano version I did is good and worth listening to and worth performing, but I don't think it's better than the Wolf Parade version.
Like, I don't mean to compare those versions, but when I saw, I must have misread it or some kind of media, kind of like twist it up and publish it the way that I asked that question. And speaking of, I'll believe in anything. This album was like featured on Apologies to Queen Mary. So, do you have like any kind of memories of making that album? Because last year that album turned like 20 years old.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was, we were so green when we made that record. That's the first time I was kind of in a real studio. All the recording I'd done before that was like DIY, bedroom stuff. And then Wolf Parade was just taking off in Montreal. Sub Pop came out, watched us play a show, signed us like the next day. And Isaac Brock of Modest Mouse wanted to produce the record. He was like sort of working with Sub Pop at the time. He kind of scouted us and helped us get on Sub Pop. And he wanted to produce it, and we were like, yeah, of course. You know, I knew Modest most of the time. I listened to his stuff all the time. But he wanted to do it in Portland, where he lived, at a studio that he was familiar with, and an engineer that he trusted. I can't remember Chris's last name off the top of my head, but he's a really talented engineer, and he did live sound for Flaming Lips and Modest Mouse as well. Anyway, that's the way Isaac wanted to do it, and we were so green. We were like, cool, we'll just drive from Montreal, Canada, to Portland, Oregon to make this record. Like that, okay, that's just what we're gonna do. We're gonna pile in the van and drive to Portland. And we were just in our like early to mid 20s, and that seemed like a totally normal and reasonable thing to do. So we arrived in Portland just like so tired and so broke. We were just so broke when we were making that record. We had no money, and we couldn't get any more money out of the label because I don't think they realized how broke we really just understood what weird little dirtbags we were. I just remember like pooling all our change in like the Taco Bell drive-through, trying to get as many like 7 layer dips or whatever it was we could for dinner, and just sort of scraping along while we had all the songs already, and we had already put out a lot of EPs of the songs. So like writing the songs wasn't really an issue. We wrote a couple in the studio. The first song on the record is called You Are a Runner, I Am My Father's Son. That was written in that session, and that was a fun moment. And there are a couple other moments like that. For the most part, the songs already existed, and we just had to sort of try to get them on tape in the best way possible, which we just had no idea what to do, but Isaac helped us along. And we recorded the whole thing in under a week, I'm pretty sure. It got mixed later. We mixed it with some different people. That's those are mostly my memories are like driving out there and thinking that's a normal way
Hmm.
to start a record with like a 4 day long epic road trip. Um, and and really how broke we are, and I don't think anyone really understood how little money we had. Like we were really like wondering where the next meal was going to come from. And then when you work with like these big industry people, like an established label like Sub Pop or someone like Isaac, who's like already was quite successful in what he was doing. I think I have that thing now sometimes with young people where you forget um, just sort of how uh, vulnerable they can be and how they're still figuring things out, and you have these moments of clarity like, oh shit, you don't have anywhere to stay tonight, do you? You haven't thought that far ahead, or like you don't have any way to get dinner, or
Yeah.
it's it's totally normal at that age, and you feel like at that when you're in your early 20s or whatever, you just feel like, yeah, it's just a normal way of surviving. You're just going a day at a time. At least that was true for me and Wolf Parade at that time. I know everybody's different.
The memories that you describe, I mean, the album still turned out to be like a very impactful one, and it's a classic today. So, Pronounced Crew, it's kind of like a self-release album. I mean, not. I mean, a self-release label, and uh, your past work, like 2021, I drew the knife in Fading Graffiti. Which is personally one of my favorite albums. I mean, from what you done, uh,
Oh,
like
thanks.
yeah. So, what would be your favorite, like based on your personal musical taste in creating the album, like from Pronounced Crew?
From like Spencer Krug releases,
Yes, yes, yes.
like not Moonface, but because there is a few other things on Pronounced Krug. There's like a weird Moonface kind of B-side, and we reissued the Sunset Rubdown's first record and finally got that on vinyl, and that's on Pronounced Krug. And Lillian's record, like I said. Um, and then yeah, all of my stuff. I do like that it's kind of there is that line that Moonface is on Jag Jaguar and Spencer Krug is on Pronounced Krug. At least that line exists for people. To answer your question, my favorite Spencer Krug record. I mean, I really like this last one, Same Fangs. I gotta say, it's I like that collection of songs, and they're really fun to play on the piano and sing. That said, I think 2020, 2021 is a fun collection of songs. Those were also curated from Patreon posts, and those ones weren't even re-recorded; they were remixed, um, and maybe re-edited in case of a few songs. But I took I chose which ones I wanted to make a record of, and I took those um, sessions, like the DAW sessions, into the studio with Jordan, where I've been doing all the Spencer Krug stuff. And him and I remixed them off my computer using like his tools and his ears um, into like a more like a quote unquote better sounding album and like a more of a cohesive tone throughout. And it was an experiment for sure. I had no idea if it was going to work because it's a little bit all over the map. There's acoustic guitar songs, there's piano songs, there's songs that were made completely digitally. Um, that everything was in the box kind of thing. And still, I feel like the album makes sense as a whole. I feel like at the end of the day, the songs somehow complement one another, and there is a really interesting album there. So I guess that one, I think it's worth listening to if
Hmm.
you like the kind of stuff that I do.
Yeah, and I do, and it was a great. I got to re-listen again, and from what you release. I just feel like, younger audiences is, after, after Heated Rivalry, you kind of seem like you have a cult following in a way. So, your catalog keep on finding like new audiences throughout, through like all of your work and stuff. So, what is it like watching like younger listeners discover your work like years later, or right just now?
What's it like? I don't know. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can really answer that question. I'm not online very much. I know that like the song is taking off on TikTok and Instagram Reels and stuff. And I saw a few of those videos. So it definitely surreal to see someone who's like half my age at best and covering the song on acoustic guitar or something, and they're covering a song that I wrote maybe even before they were born. That's really interesting and surreal, like I said, and flattering and humbling. We're really grateful that it's happened. It's a little bit hard to process emotionally things that are just happening online, because it's all happening like on the other side of the glass, right?
Mhm.
It didn't. It's only now just starting to manifest in our real lives in a real way and in really oblique ways. It's not like people are running up to me on the street or anything. And because I'm not actually on TikTok or X, and I spend as little time on Instagram as I can, I think a lot of it. I think I missed a lot of it. Is what I'm trying to say. I heard of it secondhand, kind of thing. Or Sub Pop would send us emails and be like, this, and this are happening, and your numbers are up like this and this, and I'd be like, well, that's really crazy. But I wasn't seeking it out online. I think that would not be a healthy exercise. It wouldn't make me feel good at the end of the day, and I can't really explain why. Because, like I said, we're grateful that it happened, and I think it's cool. I got nothing against having a viral hit by any means, but I don't need to like watch every video or anything. That would be weird and like self cannibalizing in a weird way that I can't really put into words right now. I
Yeah.
don't need to. It's flattering to know it's happening. I don't need to see the details.
That totally puts like a lot of things into perspective because like I said with celebrities, they're obsessed with everything, and try to capitalize, but like I said, you're completely the opposite, but yeah. That's what I meant when I asked that question. Yeah.
I see. I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who I am, but I'm not someone that needs to seek out that kind of attention. I don't think. I mean, everyone loves attention, but I mean, whatever.
I want to talk about your solo piano tour and the Wolf Parade tour that you're doing later this year. So you're about to go on tour. So what can fans expect?
With the solo piano stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, it starts in a week today. Some shows on the island. It's just a handful of shows in Western Canada. I'm excited about it because I'm playing some small towns that I've never played before. So that will be fun. I'm excited because Elbow Kiss is going to be joining me on stage for a few of the songs that they sing on the record.
Oh, exciting.
And they and I have never performed live together. We haven't even rehearsed yet, so that's going to be exciting. Um, we spent the day in the studio together where they sang all over the record, and that was great. But we haven't actually performed, like they overdubbed their parts, so we haven't performed the songs together. And so I'm excited for that. As far as what people can expect, I try to do a mix of old and new. I try to represent, there's a lot of Moonface stuff because that is the project that has put out the most solo piano music out of any of between like Moonface, Sunset Rubdown, and Wolf Parade. That's Moonface is like the piano one. So there's like a lot of Moonface songs, but I try to represent Sunset Rubdown and Wolf Parade to some extent as well with one or two songs from those projects. And then without forgetting that, my focus right now is new music and moving forward. So there's, of course, Spencer Krug songs, and there'll be a lot of songs from this new album. So the short answer is it's a mix of everything as much as I can squeeze into an hour before people get too bored of listening to one guy sitting at the piano. Um, yeah, I love performing solo piano. There's a real intimacy to it and a vulnerability and like sort of a depth of volume. Like it can get really quiet in a way that I find really powerful. So I'm excited to get back into that world.
Hmm. And I'm sure the fans are excited too of what you got with what songs that they can expect, and this album. I mean, there's some songs that uh, I mean, there's some songs that you can potentially perform like from Same Things to this tour, so that should be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing some songs from this record for sure. Thank you so much for the talk, Davon. Thanks for thinking of me for your show, and uh, we'll chat again someday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Spencer, and you have a good day.